Chapter 5. Nora. 3 months. 3 months since my graduate assistantship ended. 3 months since I stopped walking into Professor Hart's office carrying research notes and impossible questions. 3 months since I promised myself I would get over her. It hasn't worked. If anything, the distance has only clarified what I feel. It was never just admiration, never just the thrill of working beside the most brilliant professor on campus. It was the way she'd listen before responding, the way she'd make coffee while reading 3 books at once, the way she'd quietly straighten a crooked picture frame whenever she walked past it, the way she'd unconsciously smile whenever someone challenged one of her ideas. I'd fallen in love with the little things. And little things don't disappear simply because a semester ends. The only difference now is that I'm no longer her assistant, no longer reporting to her, no longer under her supervision. I'm just another graduate student finishing my degree, which means I finally have nothing to lose. I'd told myself I wasn't going to attend Celeste's public lecture this afternoon. Then I attended anyway. Some habits refuse to die. The lecture hall empties slowly. Students cluster around the podium asking questions. Celeste answers each one patiently. She catches my eye once, then again. A small crease forms between her brows. She's noticed. Of course she has. I've spent the last few months doing my best to avoid looking at her for longer than necessary. Apparently, I wasn't as subtle as I'd hoped. Eventually, the last student leaves. I sling my bag over one shoulder. I'm heading out. Nora. Her voice stops me before I reach the door. Could you stay for a minute? My heartbeat immediately decides to audition for percussion. I turn. The room feels strangely quiet without 200 students filling it. Celeste steps down from the front of the lecture hall. She's wearing a forest green blazer today, sleeves rolled neatly to her forearms. Her glasses catch the late afternoon light. She studies me for a long moment. You've been avoiding me. Straight to the point. I've been busy. She gives me a look, the kind that politely informs me my lie is terrible. I have. You have. Silence stretches between us. Finally, she says quietly, "Did I do something?" The question catches me completely off guard. She actually doesn't know. I laugh once, softly, without humor. You really don't know? Concern replaces confusion. Nora. I look away. I was heartbroken. When I told you I liked you, her expression changes. You laughed? Realization begins dawning across her face. You thought... I wasn't talking about having a harmless crush. My voice shakes despite my best efforts. I wasn't talking about admiring my professor. I finally meet her eyes. I've liked you for over a year. The silence afterwards feels enormous. I noticed when you skipped lunch. I continue before courage abandons me. I knew which novels you reread every autumn. A tiny, bewildered smile flickers across her face. I knew when you were pretending not to be tired. Her smile disappears again. I knew your favorite poet before you ever told me. I take one careful step toward her. This wasn't some celebrity crush. Another step. I knew you. The room is impossibly quiet. Celeste looks like someone has shifted the ground beneath her feet. I misunderstood. The admission is almost whispered. You did. She closes her eyes briefly. When you said you liked me, I thought you meant what so many students mean. I know. She opens her eyes again. And you were hurting. I nod. For months. A deep breath leaves her. I'm sorry. The sincerity in those 2 words nearly undoes me. I never wanted to hurt you. I know. She searches my face. That night. Her voice softens. When you stayed at my house, I feel warmth creep into my cheeks. I've thought about it every day. Celeste finishes with a sigh. My heart stumbles. I kept telling myself it was your heat. She lets out a quiet laugh. that everything I felt was simply biology. My pulse pounds in my ears. It would have been easier. I don't know where the courage comes from. Maybe I've spent too long imagining this moment. Maybe I've already survived the worst outcome. I step close enough that only inches separate us. Kiss me. Celeste blinks. Nora? Kiss me. My voice is steady now. If what you felt was only my pheromones, I hold her gaze, then you'll know. I'm not in heat now. She doesn't answer immediately. For one impossible moment, I think she's going to refuse. Instead, she lifts one hand, slowly, giving me every opportunity to step back. Her fingertips brush my cheek. Warm, gentle, searching. I'm terrified, she admits. So am I. Something softens in her expression. Then she leans forward. The kiss is careful at first, tentative, like we're both afraid the other might disappear. The moment our lips meet, every doubt I've carried for months simply falls away. It isn't overwhelming because it's dramatic. It's overwhelming because it feels unmistakably right. I melt into it before I can stop myself. Celeste's hand remains lightly against my face while mine finds the sleeve of her blazer. The kiss deepens only slightly, lingering more than either of us expected. When we finally separate, we're both breathing a little harder. Neither of us speaks for several long seconds. Finally, I smile. So? She lets out one incredulous laugh. That, she shakes her head, was the best kiss of my life. Joy bursts through me so quickly I almost laugh. Then she continues, and that's exactly why it frightens me. The smile fades from my face. I like intelligent women. She looks directly at me. Kind women. Another pause. Hard-working women. I feel my cheeks warm. I like people who challenge me. She smiles sadly. You happen to be every one of those things. So what's stopping you? Her eyes drift toward the empty lecture hall. My fiancé left me. The words are quiet. She told me that admiration fades, that eventually people see who I really am. A brittle laugh escapes her. I've spent years believing that if I let someone close again, they'll leave too. The vulnerability in her voice breaks my heart. She suddenly looks less like the unshakable professor everyone admires, and more like a lonely woman who's convinced herself she's safer alone. I stepped closer again. So don't decide the ending before the story starts. She looks at me. Take a chance. I smile softly. We don't have to promise forever. Just dinner, conversation, a walk. See what happens. She studies me for what feels like forever. Then, at last, the corners of her mouth lift. A few dates. Hope blooms so suddenly inside me that I have to stop myself from grinning. A few dates, she repeats. If it feels right, it will. She laughs. Optimistic. I've waited over a year. I think I can survive waiting a little longer. She reaches for my hand, not possessively, simply intertwining our fingers for the first time. Then let's see where this takes us. I squeeze her hand gently, trying very hard not to look as ridiculously happy as I feel, failing completely.
Chapter 6. Celeste. I have delivered keynote lectures to auditoriums full of distinguished scholars. I have defended research in front of committees determined to dismantle every argument I made. I have debated best-selling authors on live television. None of those experiences compare to standing in my bedroom mirror, wondering whether a navy blazer makes me look too formal for a woman who has just agreed to go on a date. I changed jackets 3 times, then put the first one back on. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. The kiss changed everything. Not dramatically, not overnight, but quietly, like a book turning a page before either reader realizes the story has entered a new chapter. Neither of us mentions it again, not immediately. Instead, we fall into an easy rhythm. The department is organizing its annual research symposium, and although Nora no longer works for me, she volunteers to help coordinate graduate presentations and panel discussions. We're simply collaborating now. Colleagues. Equals. Or at least that's what I keep telling myself whenever she smiles at me. Today, she's sitting across from me in my office, surrounded by open books and color-coded notes. Sunlight filters through the tall windows, catching the dust that dances lazily between the bookshelves. It's our first date, but Nora proposed that instead of a romantic dinner, where we'd both feel at ease, we should start with something that's more natural to us as people. So, we decided to do some academic research together. We're both passionate about the subject, and what better way to bond than by discussing deep intellectual subjects together? I've had enough of shallow conversation for a lifetime, so I appreciate Nora's idea. I want a real relationship this time, not something built on illusions and admiration. You've highlighted 3 different colors, I observe, looking at Nora's work. She doesn't even glance up. They represent different arguments. They represent chaos. They represent organization. They represent an artist attacking office supplies. She grins. You say that like it's a bad thing. It is a bad thing. She reaches across the desk and steals my yellow highlighter. Evidence? I was using that. You weren't. I was about to. You've been glaring at it for 2 minutes. I sigh dramatically. I've accidentally agreed to date a menace. Her grin widens. You've accidentally agreed to date an efficient menace. Those are somehow worse. She laughs. The sound fills the office. I've missed that laugh more than I realized. We return to the symposium proposal, or at least we attempt to. Nora slides one article toward me. I've been thinking. Those 4 words should concern me. I don't think Professor Ellison's interpretation works. I adjust my glasses. That's a bold statement. It is. And you're prepared to defend it? She smiles. I brought snacks. I stare. What? In case the debate takes a while. I can't help laughing. Proceed, counselor. For the next several minutes, Nora dismantles a widely accepted interpretation of the text, piece by piece. At first, I disagree, completely. No, I say, tapping a paragraph, the symbolism clearly reflects collective memory. She tilts her head. Or collective guilt. Guilt is part of memory. But memory doesn't always require guilt. I cross my arms. It does in this novel. Only if you're reading from the narrator's perspective. I am. That's your first mistake. My mistake? You're trusting the narrator. I'm evaluating the narrator. You're sympathizing with the narrator. I most certainly am not. She slides another article toward me. Page 84. I skim it. Then another. Page 112. I skim that one too. She says nothing. The silence is unbearably smug. I open a 3rd source, then a 4th. Finally, 10 minutes later, I lean back in my chair. Oh! Nora folds her hands neatly. Oh? I laugh. Actually laugh. You've backed me into a corner. I know. You enjoyed every second. I absolutely did. I point at her. You're insufferable. I've been called worse. You planned this. I prepared. You ambushed me academically. I presented evidence. With frightening efficiency. I learned from an excellent professor. The compliment catches me off guard. I shake my head, smiling despite myself. For the record, she raises an eyebrow, your argument is excellent. Her smile softens. I know. The confidence makes me laugh all over again. It's startling. Not because she's right, because I haven't enjoyed disagreeing with someone this much in years. Most conversations end with people nodding politely. Nora argues, questions, pushes, challenges. Every discussion feels like solving a puzzle together. I hadn't realized how lonely intellectual life had become until she wandered into it. Now I know my life is better with someone who understands my intellect and can be on the same intellectual level as me. By the time we relocate to the university library, evening has settled over campus. The reading room grows steadily quieter. Students trickle out one by one. Someone dims half the lights. Neither of us notices. We're too busy debating whether stories shape history or history shapes stories. History comes first, I insist. Nora shakes her head. No. Without history, there are no stories. Without stories, history doesn't survive. I open my mouth, close it again. She smiles triumphantly. I saw that. Saw what? You almost admitted I was right. I most certainly did not. You hesitated. I was choosing kinder wording. Liar. Academic. Same difference. Hours slip by unnoticed. Our conversation drifts naturally. Literature becomes philosophy. Philosophy becomes ethics. Ethics becomes dreams. What did you want to be before literature? She asks. I smile faintly. A pianist. Her eyes widen. Really? I wasn't nearly good enough. I don't believe that. My neighbors certainly didn't. She laughs. And you? I wanted to host nature documentaries. I blink. I'm sorry? She clears her throat dramatically. In this week's episode, observe the exhausted graduate student surviving entirely on caffeine. I burst out laughter loud enough to earn a disapproving look from the librarian. We both instinctively lower our voices. See, Nora whispers, I would have been amazing. I concede that point. Finally. You'd narrate the mating habits of squirrels with alarming confidence. I absolutely would. Another hour disappears. The librarian eventually approaches our table. We're closing. Nora and I look at each other, then at the clock. Neither of us had noticed. Outside, cool evening air settles across campus. We walk slowly toward the parking lot. Neither of us seems eager to end the conversation. I have a confession, I say. Nora looks at me curiously. I enjoy terrible mystery novels. She gasps theatrically. The ones with impossibly clever cats solving crimes? I refuse to answer. You own all 12, don't you? Possibly. She beams. My turn. I brace myself. I watch reality dating shows. I stop walking. You? They're terrible. They are. I know. You voluntarily watch them? They're fascinating. They're disasters. Exactly. I stare at her. She shrugs innocently. They make me appreciate healthy communication. I laugh so hard I have to stop walking. I cannot believe this. You kissed a woman who binge watches chaos. I kissed a woman who apparently roots for chaos. I judge everyone equally. You absolutely have favorite contestants. I absolutely do. By the time we reach the faculty parking lot, my cheeks ache from smiling. Not because Nora is beautiful, though she is. Not because of the kiss, though I haven't stopped thinking about it. It's because she understands me. She challenges me. She makes me laugh. She fills ordinary conversations with extraordinary joy. Somewhere between debating unreliable narrators and discovering her terrible television habits, I realize something quietly astonishing. I don't look forward to seeing Nora because I'm attracted to her. I'm attracted to her because I look forward to seeing her. The distinction matters. She's turning into my favorite part of every day. She shifts her notebook from one arm to the other. So, are we pretending this wasn't suspiciously close to a date? I smile. No. She smiles back. No? I take a slow breath. The nervousness from this morning returns all at once, except now, somehow, it's worse, because now there's something to lose. Nora. She looks at me expectantly. Would you like to have dinner with me this weekend? Her notebook immediately slips from her hands. It lands on the pavement with a soft thud. She doesn't even notice. Instead, she stares at me with an expression so wonderfully surprised that I can't stop smiling. "I'll take that," I say, as a yes. She laughs, still speechless, before nodding with enough enthusiasm to answer for both of us. Chapter 7. Celeste. I arrive 20 minutes early for the dinner date I asked Nora out on, then spend 15 of those minutes wondering whether that makes me look eager. It absolutely does. Wonderful. I almost leave. Then I remembered Nora would immediately notice if I suddenly developed an inexplicable fear of Italian restaurants. The place is tucked away on a quiet side street nearly half an hour from campus. Family-owned, no white tablecloths, no orchestra, no pretension, just warm lighting, checkered tablecloths, handwritten specials on a chalkboard, and the comforting smell of garlic, basil, and fresh bread. I'd discovered it years ago after accidentally getting lost following a faculty conference. No one from the university comes here, which means tonight, for the first time, I'm not Professor Hart. She's not my former graduate assistant. We're simply two women having dinner. That realization is oddly liberating. Nervous? I look up. Nora is standing beside the table. She isn't dressed dramatically differently than usual. Dark jeans, a cream-colored sweater. Her curls are loose tonight instead of tied back. She looks comfortable, beautiful, dangerously beautiful. I was about to ask you the same question. She smiles as she sits. I've been rehearsing conversation starters all afternoon. You? I got through 17. And? They were all terrible. I find that difficult to believe. The first one was, "So, do you like bread?" I blink. That is terrible. I know. The second, "You've read Dante. Thoughts?" I laugh. I'm relieved you abandoned that one. I was trying to cover all possible moods. A server appears with menus. We order drinks. Neither of us opens the menu immediately. Instead, we simply look at each other. No office, no books, no deadlines, no department meetings, just us. It feels strangely new. "I've never seen you outside campus after sunset," Nora says. "I exist after 5 o'clock. I had my suspicions. They've now been confirmed." She studies me with obvious curiosity. "So, what does Celeste Hart do when she isn't terrifying first-year students?" "I only terrify them academically. Semantics. I read. I guessed. I garden." Her eyebrows rise. "You garden?" "I find plants less argumentative than academics." "I don't know." She smiles mischievously. "I've seen tomatoes with strong opinions." "I suspect you encouraged them." "I absolutely did." Bread arrives. Nora tears off a piece immediately. "I've been thinking." I point toward her. Those 4 words continue to concern me. They should. I've learned that much. She dips the bread into olive oil before looking back at me. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "What was your family like?" The question catches me off guard. Most people ask about my research or my publications. Very few ask about my life. "My parents loved each other." I smile faintly. "They also loved impossible standards." Nora nods thoughtfully. "They expected excellence?" "They expected perfection." "And you gave it to them?" "I tried." "That's not the same thing." I look at her. She's watching me with that familiar, thoughtful expression, the one that always makes me feel genuinely seen. "They weren't unkind," I say. "They simply believed achievement solved everything." "And did it?" I glance around the restaurant. I'm sitting across from you trying to answer that question. She smiles softly. "I think that answers it." The server returns. We order fresh pasta for Nora, eggplant parmesan for me. When we're alone again, Nora hesitates. "Can I ask something else?" "You've earned at least one more question. What happened with your fiancé?" I don't answer immediately. Not because I don't want to, because I haven't spoken about her in years. Nora reaches for her water. "If it's too personal, no." I shake my head. "It's all right." A long silence stretches between us. Finally, I exhale. I can't believe someone would be foolish enough to leave Celeste Hart. You're a catch. Thanks. I laugh quietly. You've built up quite an impressive version of me. I know the real version. I hope so. I fold my hands together. My fiancé wasn't an academic. Nora waits patiently. She never understood what I was talking about, not because she wasn't intelligent, she simply wasn't interested. The conversations? Most of them. I smile ruefully. I'd come home excited because I'd discovered a new interpretation of a medieval text. And I'd start explaining. What happened? She'd stop listening. Nora's smile fades. Then why were you together? The question is gentle. I think about it. For a while, I believed admiration was enough. You admired each other? I admired her confidence. I pause. She admired what I represented. Nora tilts her head. Let me guess. She points at me with her fork. She was an alpha. I blink. How did you know? Only an alpha would ask you to summarize your point in 30 seconds. I admit it. She was an alpha. Nora nods as though she'd solved an elaborate mystery. I knew it. She came from a wealthy family. I continue quietly. She loved introducing me to people. The famous professor, the published academic, the successful partner. I lower my eyes. I eventually realized she loved the prestige more than she loved me. Nora's expression softens. She liked saying she was dating the professor. Exactly. I nod. She wanted someone accomplished. But she never wanted to understand the work that made you accomplished, or who you really were. The accuracy of that sentence steals my breath. Exactly. She reaches across the table without thinking. Her fingers lightly brush mine. I'm sorry. The words are so sincere, they almost hurt. You deserved someone who wanted to know you. Not your title, not your publications. You. I don't realize how much I needed to hear that until my chest loosens. And you? I ask quietly. She looks down at the table. My family wasn't like yours. I wait. My parents, she twists her napkin between nervous fingers, they loved arguing more than they loved being a family. The restaurant seems to fade into the background. They chose conflict every single time. Her smile is small, fragile. If there was a peaceful solution, they found the louder one? She nods. I kept thinking if I got better grades, if I stayed quieter, if I caused fewer problems, she lets out a humorless laugh. Maybe they'd finally choose us. The word us lingers. Us. My brother and me. My heart aches. They never did. I cover her hand with mine. She doesn't pull away. So now, she swallows. I always expect people to leave. The confession is almost whispered. If someone's late replying to a message, I assume I've done something wrong. If someone grows quiet, I assume they're preparing to leave. She laughs softly. I know it isn't rational. It makes perfect sense. She looks at me. It does? To the little girl who kept waiting for people to choose her? I squeeze her hand gently. Yes. Her eyes glisten. I hate that you're still carrying that. For a moment, neither of us speaks. The restaurant continues around us. Plates clink, someone laughs across the room. A child proudly announced they'd finished all their spaghetti. Yet somehow, our little corner feels wonderfully private. Nora smiles through the emotion. You know something strange? What? Your scent always makes me calmer. I smile. I was going to say the same thing. She blinks. What? Your Omega scent. I shake my head with a quiet laugh. It does something similar to me. It settles the constant noise, the constant pressure. It reminds me I don't have to prove anything. Nora's smile becomes impossibly gentle. So we're comforting each other? It would seem so. She intertwines our fingers fully this time. Neither of us comments on it. Neither of us needs to. For the first time since my engagement ended years ago, I don't feel like I'm performing the role of someone's perfect partner. I feel understood. And sitting across from Nora, sharing pasta and stories in a little Italian restaurant far from campus, I realized that perhaps love isn't built on admiration after all. Perhaps it's built on finding the one person who makes even your silence feel like a conversation. The server eventually returns with the check. I reach for it instinctively. Nora reaches for it at exactly the same time. Our fingers bump. She grins. I knew you were going to do that. I invited you, and I'm capable of paying for my own dinner. I know. She folds her arms stubbornly. Then let me. I'd like to. She narrows her eyes at me. Professor instincts? I smile. Former professor. Still bossy. I prefer decisive. Bossy. Decisive. She laughs, shaking her head. I'll let you win this one. I appreciate your generosity. Don't get used to it. I wasn't planning to. Good, because next time you can argue with the dessert menu instead. She blinks. Next time? The words slip out before I can stop them. There will be a next time. A slow smile spreads across her face. I was hoping you'd say that. Outside, the evening air is cool enough to make me pull my jacket a little tighter. The street is quiet. The restaurant's warm light spills across the pavement behind us. Neither of us moves toward our cars. It's as though we're both reluctant to be the first person to end the night. I had fun, Nora says softly. So did I. I was worried we'd run out of things to talk about. I look at her in disbelief. Nora, what? We spent nearly 4 hours talking. True, you argued with me about medieval symbolism. I won. You absolutely did not. She raises an eyebrow. You admitted I had a point. I admitted your argument had merit. She steps a little closer, close enough that I can catch the familiar, comforting scent of her scent beneath the crisp evening air. It settles something inside me, not the instinctive pull I'd felt when she'd been in heat. This is quieter, steadier, more dangerous, because it's entirely my own. Nora. I'm glad you asked me to take a chance. She looks surprised. You are? I've spent years assuming another relationship would only end the same way. I meet her eyes, but tonight didn't feel frightening. What did it feel like? Easy. The smile she gives me is small, hopeful. It did. For a heartbeat, we simply stand there. The city moves around us, cars pass, someone laughs somewhere down the street. The world continues, yet it feels as though we've stepped outside it for a moment. I lift my hand, slowly, giving her every opportunity to step away. Instead, she closes the remaining distance herself. Our second kiss is nothing like the first. The first had answered a question. This one asks none. It's certain, unhurried, comfortable. My hand rests lightly against her cheek, while hers settles against my waist. She smiles into the kiss. Actually smiles. The sensation makes me smile too. When we finally part, neither of us moves very far away. I've been wanting to do that all evening, Nora admits. I noticed. You did? You kept looking at my mouth. Her cheeks immediately turned pink. I thought I was subtle. You were many wonderful things tonight. I brushed an escaping curl behind her ear. Subtle wasn't one of them. She groans. I'll never recover from this. I sincerely hope you do. She laughs, and the sound settles warmly somewhere beneath my ribs. After a thoughtful silence, she rocks back on her heels. I have an idea. Oh? I want to take you somewhere. What did you have in mind? A little mountain town, about 2 hours from here. She brightens as she speaks. My brother and I used to go once a year with our aunt. There are hiking trails, a little lake, an old inn with fireplaces and homemade breakfasts. She laughs softly. No crowds, no department emails, no committee meetings, just us. I blink. I've never been. You've never been to the mountains? She looks genuinely astonished. I've spent most weekends grading papers. Northern Italy, dozens of conferences. She counts dramatically on her fingers. And you've never taken yourself on a proper getaway? I'm beginning to suspect you're judging me. I'm absolutely judging you. I can't help laughing. Fair enough. She watches me expectantly. So? The image forms immediately in my mind. Pine forests, quiet mornings, long walks, books, conversations with no deadlines waiting for us, Nora beside me. The thought fills me with an excitement I haven't felt in years. I'd love to. Her entire face lights up. Really? Really?
The story continues in the next part. Find the next part on my YouTube channel.